And we're live. Hi. Guess who I just met in passing? We decided let's just,
Oh
film
yeah.
and record. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another LRG podcast. Today I'm here with everyone's favorite, very calm-minded, not bitter at all person of Survivor Michigan, Bailey.
You nailed
Bailey, how
it.
you
You nailed
doing?
my intro. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, because you were just so like congenial, well-mannered, very
Oh
well-tempered.
yeah,
We never,
that's me.
never lost your cool once. How are you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself, Lee?
I'm doing good. I am very tired, not because of the hours, because I've been working full shifts all week and I'm
Oh
excited
gosh.
for a break.
Oh my God, you deserve it.
Yeah, especially with customer service. Why did I get into that?
Yeah, yeah.
This is why I know I'm not good at Survivor because I don't like people.
Well, I feel like you'd be surprised at the amount of like introverts that do Survivor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an excuse to be social. It's like I get to be
Yeah,
this person that I never thought I'd be.
because you also have like inherently something to talk about too. Like you just have to talk about the game. So yeah.
Yeah. Talk with the game, the show if you've seen it,
Yeah.
or cry about it. So 3 years later, what do you think of the season?
I loved it. I thought Ian did an amazing job. I always told him I was like watching it back is like how I remembered it happening, and so I feel like he captured everyone's feelings very well, and I appreciate that he really stuck to the reality of what happened. Like I think a lot of people struggled with the fact that Ian like didn't do a winners edit kind of a thing. Like I think people had a hard time kind of grasping some elements of it. It was like, why did he show us this? Why did he show us that? And like the short answer was like, that's how it happened. So that's why he showed it that way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I
I
love
mean, I like when there's no winners at it. I like not knowing who's going to win, and those people with the edit, they're on like a whole different other level of like trying to dissect every little thing. It's like,
for
well,
sure.
this person said this thing about this thing, but 3 episodes ago they didn't say anything about it at all. It's like it's too confusing.
Yeah, and he did do a lot of like foreshadowing, but I don't think Ian really like went out of his way to do that because it's like it is so crazy how like the season just kind of wrote itself as it was going. Like there were so many moments that were like just so ironic later on, but it's like that's just what people were saying. It's not like they knew that's what was going to happen. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
funny.
Little did you know that you're not going to sleep with somebody on your tribe. But production is another story.
Yeah, so true, so true.
So I think I want to start off with what made you say yes to All Stars.
Oh, like kind of FOMO, honestly. Like I knew like it was gonna be my senior year, and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be so busy. Like I was working a part-time job, I was applying for like full-time jobs after college. I obviously had like other like clubs and commitments I was a part of, and like school like takes up a lot of
Oh
time.
yeah, that.
And like even like social life, like I knew it was gonna be, I was like, I'll figure it out, I'll make it work. Like we're all in the same boat. And like a few weeks in, I realized that like basically the time to do Survivor had to come from somewhere. So like it just was like, I guess I won't sleep. Like so I can like go meet with so and so or like go to this challenge or whatever. Like I guess I just won't have any downtime ever. Um so it wasn't, I like would never describe it as like, oh, that was like so fun. Like I didn't really do it because it was fun. It's like hard to put into words, but I did it because yeah, like everybody else, like it was just like we'd been all talking about it for so long. Like so many people that I love and like wanted to play the game with that I didn't get to before. Um like that was part of it. And also like I felt like I had something to prove. Like I really wanted to like come back and like show that I was like capable of so much more than what I showed the first time around. That was my biggest thing. Like I really couldn't pass up that opportunity. Hi, Akshay.
That quote, I mean, now that we're on, can we just talk about that quote?
Yeah.
How, how you said one phrase in one fight 5 years ago, and to this day, it still like goes down in history as like one of the things of College
Yeah.
Survivor in general.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I regret saying it, not because of like I wouldn't have like had that fight. Like it's not the fight that I regret, but like I didn't really like realize like the depth of what I was saying like as it was coming out of my mouth. Like it's just not like a cool thing to say to anybody. I wouldn't have said that again. Would I have engaged in that argument again? Probably every single time I would have. And I think Matthew would have too. That's kind of how we are.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it involves you and Maggie, it's going to end up in arguments, whether it be for love or hate.
Yes. Yeah. You
And
know,
the
and
ironic,
I do feel like if we had landed on the same tribe, like it would have been a totally different story. Like I think it was really just because we are both very like combative, like high energy people that'll say what's on their mind, and like because we were just on opposite ends of things, it worked out that way. But I think if we were on the same tribe, like I would have felt bad for just about like anybody else. I think we would have been like an iconic duo.
yeah, screw Bailey and Kevin. Bailey and Maggie is what we should have gotten. The true social winners of Survivor.
So true.
And that clip wasn't even so well. You asked for that clip not to be the episode.
Yeah, I did.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Katie.
well, just at the time, like we didn't. It was also new. It was only season 2, so like the protocols were very unclear. So like I didn't think like in that moment, like I wasn't like, oh yeah, we're filming for Survivor right now. We were just kind of like goofing around at a party, and I like, but like during All Stars, like obviously it was very clear everything's fair game all the time. So.
Speaking of the moment, would you say you're a social winner of Survivor after season 5?
It would be hard to say I wasn't, because I think my like social connections were like a huge like element of my game and like making it as far as I did. So I would say I was like actually like a social winner of Survivor this time around.
I think it's fair to say that as well, because I think you had a connection by the time the merge came, but or even before that, you had a connection with everyone. I mean, like the joke I made earlier, we met in passing.
Yeah. No, and that's so funny that like there are so many things where I was like, I didn't even think about like the way other people would take that, because I genuinely like was seeing people in passing all the time. Like I never saw people that frequently on campus, like between classes, until All Stars. Like I don't know why, but I would literally see people in passing all the time. So that wasn't like some like, ooh, I'm just gonna like put it this way and people won't suspect anything. Like I literally was seeing people in passing.
I remember when I had Erin on, she actually confirmed it. She was like, we just genuinely met in passing. But the problem is Bailey talks a lot.
Yeah.
We just had no time to record.
Yeah, no, I would pass Erin a lot because I would be like leaving a building from class that she was going into for class. So we would see each other at the same time all the time. And like that building that I had all my classes in was also where AJ Adam, their dorm was. So when that whole merge situation happened, like we were messaging each other, but I was in that building and they were like walking in. So we were able to like kind of like make that happen on the fly. Like we had no planned meeting. Like I just saw him in passing. So
everyone here be thinking you're playing like this level 100 game of like, oh, she's saying passing when really she has like alliances with everyone, when you're just like, I'm just genuinely meeting and passing. Why would I lie about this?
Oh yeah, and because also personally I was kind of like, sure, there are people that I would like to work with, but it really doesn't matter what I want. What matters is like what tribe I end up on and like who's connected to who. if that makes sense. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have to see where all the other chips are falling too. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna like wrangle up all my favorite people and make an alliance.
And put them on a
So
list.
yeah, I mean, some people do it that way, and apparently it works really well. That wasn't my strategy, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I did have a lot of people that I liked and was friends with, but I was kind of like, I'm gonna work with like when I got on my tribe, I was like, this works out well. Like I would work with any of these people, so I'm just gonna see like what ends up making sense. Like even Cooper, I was good friends with, but I did not expect to be working with him as closely as I ended up working with him.
Yeah. I mean, you had Tom on your tribe, so what great person to work with.
You know, Tom, it's tough. It's just like I feel like I was actually surprised to see how many people were like more willing to entertain the idea of working with Tom, just because I didn't know him very well, but what I did know of him was that like during summer games, which I never did any of the summer games, I would just hear about what happened, and I heard like, you know, like Matthew Israel was like the only person trying to work with him. And then immediately like Tom like is blowing up chats being like Matthew Israel's a snake. And so for me, I was like, well, the easiest thing to do here is like not attach myself to that, especially after my experience with Kevin. Like God love Kevin. Like I'm not trying to compare the two, but I had already had an experience where like I tied myself to somebody like, and it like backfired on me later. So I was like already had like my like radar up for those kind of situations. I was like, I am gonna go out because of me this time, not because of anybody else. So yeah.
You're like, oh god, Lear's at best flashbacks. Bye.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Cut that before it ever becomes a thing.
Oh, because the last thing you want to do is like go into this and not learn the lessons from your first season, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what was I about to say? Oh yeah. Well, Tom did kind of do a repeat because his little blow up did kind of kill Emily Paddock's game.
I
Thanks
know.
to
It was
Sam.
just such tough luck too, because she was set up super well on our tribe, like probably even better than I realized. But yeah, it is crazy how like one little thing can just end it for you. It is a lot of luck.
Yeah, it's like you just say the wrong word. You could say the wrong sentence and single-handedly lose your vote.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like there were so many times where somebody said one wrong thing and like it just completely sent the game into like a tailspin and like a completely different direction. And yeah, like at the end, like it wasn't like completely that one thing, but I was having a really hard time deciding who I was going to vote for, and so that was like just I was like, I'm already having a tough time, and this just kind of like
Seals the deal.
sealed it. Yeah.
I mean, we've only been recording for like 15 minutes, and I already list off like half of your quotes. I even like I make like certain Survivor Michigan videos because I have a problem, and I swear half of them are just quotes from you throughout your season.
I didn't realize how much of like a knack for one-liners I had.
Somebody get her on an actual reality show. I hear The Circle is hiring.
Oh my god, me and Maggie have said that we should do The Circle together, because you know how you can like do it as like there can be two people behind the profile. We were saying Maggie should be the profile, but like the two of us like working together on it. I think we'd kill it.
If you were to pick a different Survivor Michigan player to be your profile, who would it be?
Oh my god. Maybe Cooper, because Cooper, like everybody knows, like right off the bat, Cooper is just so like approachable, and like I feel like we've seen that like countless times during Survivor Michigan, like how much that works in his favor. but also like somewhat unassuming. Like if you don't know him, like I feel like it's just like the perfect like approachable profile would be like Cooper.
I mean, a charming smile, the laugh. There's
Yeah.
a reason why I've seen Cooper play 2 orgs prior to All Stars, and he has this power to just be a target because he's Cooper James and somehow make it to the end.
Yeah. I mean, even like watching the season, like I worked with him very closely, but obviously like there was so much going on like with him individually, like in his confessionals that I didn't know about. And like without a doubt, I would say Cooper probably was playing the best game as far as like pure strategy goes. Like I think that there was other elements that maybe like would have like given him some like minus points like for me, but like pure strategy wise, like I think Cooper was like really on another level for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he had all those advantages that for some reason he did not hide well enough to where people could go into his room and find them. We're not against breaking and entering on Survivor Michigan.
Yeah, nothing's off limits apparently.
No, not even your roommate is safe. So I say let's get into it. The whole Abbygate of it all.
Yeah.
Now, someone that is close to you, shout out to Noah.
Yeah, shout out Noah.
Are you two still together? Oh yeah, you said
Yeah,
you
we
are on the Yay.
Yeah, he was in Vegas too, actually.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing him there.
Yeah.
Potential future season. I did not spoil that.
We'll see.
We'll see. Who knows? So, since you were kind of like on the insider, care to explain maybe a bit more that we probably don't know about Abbygate?
Yeah, I think people would assume I would know more than I did, but like I was a player. Like all I really knew was that like I was somebody who got some of that information like from Abby. Like there were multiple people that did. I was one of them. And as soon as it like became an issue and like I genuinely like I wasn't receiving this information thinking it was an issue because it did kind of seem like, well, Abby's not on production, like Abby's not like involved in All Stars, so it did kind of like seem like not a big deal, but as soon as it was decided it was a problem and like not allowed, I got a message saying like don't talk about this with anybody, like don't put it like basically it's like off limits for the game. And so that's what I did immediately. I was like, okay, like that's it. And I mean, it didn't really impact anything for me, honestly. Like I had seen Megan and Jackson hunting for an idol the week prior. Me and Crouch actually saw them. It's actually in some of the bonus footage that's already been released. I was sad it didn't make the final cut because I did think that was kind of crazy that we saw them hunting for an idol together. So this was not like shocking that they were like within the game like a pair. Like I had already kind of figured that out at that point. So that was kind of the extent of it for me. Like it didn't really impact my feelings on Megan as a player or Jackson as a player. Really none of it for me. I think it was just challenging for production to figure out how to deal with it because nobody technically did anything wrong. Like Noah was not like barred from speaking to Abby like about any of this. Like it wasn't
Can't
not
really
allowed.
do that anyway.
Like for example, like I mean, Ian lived with Cooper, Leia lived with Katie, who is also a producer, like, and they were actually on production. So it's like, and then like all of their roommates knew stuff. And like Aaron was best friends with Brady and Chloe. Like it was just kind of like, what do you do? Like, what do you stop people from talking to their friends? Like people want to know what's going on. Like in All Stars, people are curious and it had never been a problem before. So it was just like an unfortunate situation and like my personal involvement in it was pretty minimal at the time and it didn't it didn't change my feelings on Megan or Jackson as like an individual player.
Yeah, because well, you never really were on a tribe with either of them until the merge, and the double tribal. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And
well, I was on a
to,
swap tribe with Megan, and it didn't stop me from
oh
working
yeah,
with Megan at all. Like we literally voted together. So yeah.
yeah. And to Noah's defense, he's not telling Abby this information knowing she's gonna spread it to all the players. To him, it's just outside player wanted to know some information, like, oh, what's happening? I'd like to be in the
Yeah.
loop, like everyone else is doing to other players. How is he supposed to know that she's going to go spilling this information to players and infect the game?
There were literally like alumni group me's, like so that they could ask what was going on in the game, like Sarah Z, Dale, like people like that. Like they, and of course, like they would want to know what's going on. So like, you know, the information leak could have happened in like 50 other connections. It just happened to be this one. So
yeah. And maybe it would have been sorted if they just casted her.
Yeah, I know. I was actually really surprised that they didn't do that because we were living together. Like it obviously would have made my game and hers like much harder, but it's like I don't know. I thought that would have been kind of like cool. But oh well.
I mean, Ian wanted to cast everyone that auditioned and have like a cast of 25.
I think it's a nice idea, but like we have a hard enough time fitting a season of 18 players into a semester. Like 21 was already like way.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I found out how many people were on the cast, I was like, I have no idea how we're gonna do this. Like in the time frame that we have.
Let's get in those couple double tribals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised there weren't more actually, but
yeah, it was really only the one with the dare pong and then the crying tribal.
Yes. Yeah, we all were so convinced there was going to be a demerge at some point. Like we were like fully betting on it.
Demerge. I'm trying to think of what that is.
Like at some point, I mean, maybe like the week like Emily or Megan went home at that point, we thought there would be like a season style demerge where they like put us back onto two tribes and we both go to tribal. We thought they were for sure going to do that to try and like get some more like tribals out of the way.
How different would your game if Cooper and I were on opposite tribes, like I wanted? So pretty much, what would your game be like if Akshay was on your tribe instead of Cooper?
Oh, I think I would have worked with Akshay. I think I would have. I'm trying to think like based on who was on that tribe. I would be curious because I don't actually know enough about like Akshay's relationship with Emily P or Sarah. Like because that's the thing is I think I would have worked with Akshay, but I also don't know what the majority would have been that would have formed if Akshay were there instead of Cooper.
If I'm trying to remember my talk with Akshay, I think at the time he was good with Emily.
Okay.
And I think he was talking with Sarah because they were on the same season, but he did vote her off. But that was the same thing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if they were like good like from their season or if there was any kind of like issue.
Yeah, and then Tom would have been an easy first target, so that would have been fine. And then Nick and who am I forgetting? Andrew.
Yeah, I think I feel like there's a world that like if Emily P and Sarah, because I would say they were probably like the tightest duo like on that tribe. I think if they scooped up Akshay, like if Akshay wanted to work with me, maybe they could have scooped me too. I don't know. I think it would have either been like me or maybe Nick like thrown into that.
Yeah, because early on you were an early target. You were getting those odd votes from your unanimous tribals for challenge reasons, I want to say. I'm trying to remember exactly why they kept targeting you.
I think from Tom's perspective, like that was the easiest like route to take, you know, like, and I think on like a non-all-star season that usually works very well is to be like that person. We don't know each other. We don't know, like, we don't have any feelings about each other, but so and so did bad in the challenge, so that's a good reason to vote them off. So I can understand why he was trying to take that route. I was really surprised that Emily P actually wanted to get rid of me. And I didn't realize how tight. I didn't realize she had already like really like set her majority that she wanted, and I wasn't in it. And it was like, like I was really surprised. I thought that we had like a better like connection than that. So yeah.
Yeah, you all just wanted to work with Cooper and Andrew.
But that's the thing is like if Emily P and Sarah had like put more like I feel like Emily P and Sarah were very much like, okay, cool, we've got Cooper and Crouch, like we're good. Whereas Crouch and Cooper kept things up with me. Yeah. Like so at that point, once that group of 4 was fracturing and they were made aware of it, it was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna go with the people that have like been talking to me and working with me. So that was really it.
And thank God for it, because we wouldn't got half the entertainment that we did this season. I think the next big thing that happened to you with the game was the swap and the whole will vote. Because I still think to this day people don't understand the reasoning behind Kevin flipping.
Yeah. So the reason, and I mean, obviously in the footage you can see it took me a while to understand why Kevin was flipping. And I even said, I think in the footage, like, I know you're all probably thinking I should have just like said, cool, sounds good, and like left with that. But when it's Kevin, it's like, I just want to really make sure I understand what we're doing here. Like, because it doesn't make sense, like on the surface. So I was like, just trying to make sure there wasn't any way that I was like getting played or like, I don't know. I was just trying to make sure. But what he was saying to me was that he wanted to save Megan because he was working closely with Megan. Basically, he wanted an alliance like that was kind of coming together of him, Megan, Jackson, and Aaron. Like that's what
the axis of evil.
Yeah, so he was saying that was a priority for him, and he was basically like between Sangria and that other alliance with like Megan, Jackson, Aaron. Like I care more about that one, so I'm willing to just like go full force down that route. And I think in his mind he was like, well, yes, I'm flipping, but now I also have like now I'm going to be scooped up into the like Odawa contingent. So I think he was like, I might get an even better spot out of this. So it really wasn't the worst logic if it was like him saying, I know who I want to work with and I'm willing to make a big move to do that. So that was like the way it was being presented to me. And that's the way it was being pitched to me. I know he said later on that he like felt bad about what happened in season 2. And like, I don't know how much, I don't know if that was like something he felt later on or if he had felt that way the whole time and that's why he did it. But it's not, I didn't ask him to do it. So like, it's not, I don't know.
And then we got like that 5-minute meeting before the tribal. Will comes up to you, he's like, here's my plea. And then the 3 of you talk, being like, okay, so Will or Kevin? And it's like, okay, it has to be Will. Well, Cooper says it has to be Will.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, there was not a whole lot of merit in like going the other direction. I felt like it just didn't make sense, but I did feel bad. And I especially felt bad because I was trying to like have some sort of working relationship with Emily and Will. So it definitely wasn't like my ideal scenario, but it had to happen.
Yeah, I mean, when the other options are Leia, who at the time Cooper was still good with, and Emily B, who you were close with.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have made
And then Megan just wasn't an option.
Yeah, because for me, Crouch and Cooper, we were like, the whole reason that we were like fighting so hard for Megan was like, we can't be in a situation next week where it's like five
Oh yeah.
sangria and then the three of us, like I think we can all guess what happens next. So for us, it was like one of the sangria has to go. And for that to happen, somebody has to flip. So it was also kind of like a let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. Like Kevin agreed to flip. We're not going to like immediately like throw him under the bus and like take him out. Like it would have been like way more work to like re-flip, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, who creates an alliance just to flip on it?
Yeah. That was like
that's a different conversation. Akshay here, taking my job, asking all the good questions because I need them. Since we brought up the relationship with Kevin, it was a little rocky to say the least when he got voted off. When he voted for you when you had immunity. I still can't believe that happened.
I know.
You're like, even immune, I still get votes.
I know.
So, what's your relationship with Kevin now?
Kevin and I have a great relationship. We're still friends. Even like I know Akshay asked, I believe like how long it took before we were good again. He texted me like a few days later and like we were fine. Like, I mean, Kevin also like wants to go out with a bang. Like I had a feeling that part of it was like he just wanted to like up the theatrics just on his way out, which is like totally fair. Like I get that. And I think I do feel bad that we were not really on the same page about like what our relationship would be in that season, because I did think that we were kind of both on the same page, that we were just going to kind of like do our own thing and like kind of just like stay out of each other's way for the most part. And in the footage back, like that wasn't so much the vibe I was getting from like his confessionals and what he was saying. So I did feel bad because I wasn't trying to like, it wasn't that he was like disposable to me or that I like didn't care about Kevin, because I am a very emotional player and I care about Kevin a lot. It was just like whenever Kevin came up, I kept having like visions in my head of like working with him again and then like getting fucked over again. And I was like, that's like my worst nightmare in this season. Like, so it wasn't personal. It was just like, I would rather be out of this game anyway. Because with Kevin, it's like, I wasn't even like, oh, I don't trust Kevin. It's just that Kevin is like so chaotic and that's how he plays the game, that I was like, I feel like if I work with him, he'll do something that he doesn't even like mean to like damage me with, and it's gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't even mean to do it half the time. So it's like I just can't be close to it.
I mean, we all remember the Daniel tribal.
Yeah, it's like stuff. So it was just like better. It was more like a better safe than sorry kind of a thing for me. Like I did care about him a lot, and I was really happy that like we both made it to the merge, and we made it that far. And even like the flip, like it had nothing to do with Kevin. It was just like an unfortunate like circumstance of like what I thought I needed to do for my game. So he was just kind of like a casualty of that.
Yeah. Plus, I kind of feel like back to like the Will vote, you were kind of hinting to both Will and Emily's like, Kevin's gonna flip. Give me reason to not vote one of yous off, and they were just like, no, let's just Megan, Andrew, we trust Kevin. It's like, okay, sorry.
Well, at the time, it was tough because, like, yeah, the three of us were in an alliance and they were really just giving me nothing to work with. Like, obviously, ideally, I would have loved it if they flipped and, like, that would have made my life easier. But, like, yeah, they were giving me nothing. And I was like, we all know I have to prioritize like this Odawa alliance in the same way that like you two are prioritizing like your tribe lines. You know, it's just what we have to do because it's so early in the game still. And so then once Kevin did flip, it was kind of like all bets are off because it's like you guys had like days, like we had many meetings, like, you know, it's not my fault you guys got burned, you know? So it was just like you had your
Yeah.
chance. Like you trusted
Yeah.
Kevin. I don't know what to tell you.
I also think they're kind of banking on, it's like, yes, they're going to be in an Odell minority, but Bailey knows that she's not going to be the first one targeted. But then you're like, well, what if one of them has an idol and you vote me because I'm the safe option?
Yeah,
It's one of those things
I
where
don't
it's like
know.
many
It,
scenarios.
it is tough, and I also definitely like part of me feels bad about the whole situation too, because it wasn't like they were trying to come after one of the Odawa three. Like they were just trying to vote off Megan, and then we ended up voting off one of the two of them. Like it wasn't like really fair the way it worked out, but it's like when you have somebody flipping, like that was the name Kevin gave. Like we didn't really feel it was like it made any sense to like I mean, there was no good options. It was Emily, Leia, or Will. I didn't want any of them to go home. Like, you know, it was just like that was the name Kevin gave. Like, you can't
Yeah.
like, say to somebody who's flipping, like, well, we don't want to do that.
Plus, if it was a different person coming onto the tribe, like if it wasn't Jesse, if it was like someone like Kevin coming onto the tribe, or who else was like last pick again?
It was Kevin.
Oh, so it was Kevin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been maybe a different story had it just simply not been Jesse.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking,
if it was Jesse instead of Kevin on that tribe, I actually think like there is no way a flip would have happened.
it probably either would have been a tie or everyone just gang up on Megan.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Speaking of if it was Jesse, none of it would have happened. The double tribal.
Yeah.
To where there's a plan. Simple plan. Two people are going home. Never been done.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, thanks, production. We have a group of 8. We have 2 people that nobody in this group of 8's aligned with. We'll split the votes between them. Happy days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then things went upside down to where, but AJ has an idol. Oh, and is working with Lucy. Who is Lucy going to vote for? We don't know. Background: Sarah, Andrew, well, Sarah and Nick want to keep Jackson. They wanted to be Lucy and Jesse. Sam, doing his usual thing, being involved in tribals he is not involved in, wants it to be Cooper. And then the tribal happens and everyone's crying.
Yeah.
Lucy's apparently throwing up in a bush. You are holding on to Cooper and Sarah, bawling your eyes out. Sarah's trying not to laugh and being like, I'm the reason they're crying.
Yeah.
What was happening?
Well, yeah, for me, it was like, okay, like Lucy Jackson, this makes sense. Like, I mean, it was like you had to get so many people on the same page that it was going to be hard to like some people were going to have to make some kind of sacrifice, like as far as like losing somebody that like maybe it wasn't their first choice. Jackson was like the easiest one to like rally around just because a lot of people didn't have the best impression of him, like especially like the girls like didn't have the best impression of him. They thought he was a little, because here's the thing, like the whole shtick that Jackson does in his confessionals, like I haven't seen like really any other side of him than that. Like I don't really know who the real Jackson is. And so it's like hard to really like who's making that close of a connection with somebody like that when you're like, I don't even really know who I'm talking to right now. And then Lucy, like, yeah, like Sam, AJ, and Lucy were like loud and proud group of 3. And I was like, I don't really want this to merge. And also like, yeah, like Lucy, it seemed at the time like the whisperings were that she was kind of like just like being kind of difficult. And so then the people that would have fought for her were like, I can't fight for Lucy if Lucy's not going to fight for Lucy.
Okay.
So it is what it is. Like, this is what we have to do. And I did know that Sarah was worried about an idol situation and Crouch was worried about what happens if he ends up like
On a tribe of 3.
Yeah. And it wasn't like those were all valid arguments, but my thing was like how like this is true, but how are we rallying like 6 other people around anybody else in a way that like
Doesn't upset people.
Like, I was like, this is tough because it's like the only one who's worried about this is you. Nobody else has to be worried about this. Does that make sense? It's like,
yeah, because it's like
all change what we're doing because Sarah's worried when it's like Sarah's just one person and she doesn't have like the most sway, and neither does Crouch. That being said, I did feel like, for lack of a better word, like a dickhead, like for like talking to them and being like, sorry, like I don't know what you want me to do, because it was like, yeah, those were very valid concerns. I was just like, I don't know what you want me to do about it. Like there's nothing else out there that makes a lot of sense for me that I'm gonna get like 5 other people in on. Like I don't know what to do here. And yeah, I do, like in hindsight, I wish I hadn't brought up Sarah's name as an option, because I did not realize, like truly I did not realize how like ride or die Nick was for Sarah until that vote happened. Like he wasn't like really saying that to people, that he was like, I love Sarah. Sarah's my number one. Like he wasn't saying that. So like I didn't know that. So obviously if I had, I wouldn't have brought it up. But like didn't think that they were any closer to each other than like anybody else. But regardless, I don't think it was the smartest move of me to do that. And I think Sarah had a right to like be pissed off about it. But my feeling was just kind of like, we've never had a lot of trust here. Like we never started anywhere good. There was like, we were always trying to build trust on a rocky foundation. So it was like, I'm not going to stick my neck out for you, really. So just like, sorry, I get mad. And then also within the context of the game, I can't say to her like, yeah, sorry, I didn't really care whether you went home or not. Like, so it was like all the conversations we had, I was sounding like a hypocrite because what I really wanted to say, I was like, I can't say that. Like, so we would just kind of keep hitting a wall in all of our conversations. And like, I know that she was just doing what was best for her game at the end of the day. But also at the end of the day, for me, if I don't trust you, I don't have to work with you. And like, you lied to me. We've never trusted each other. I can see that you're putting yourself in the driver's seat of this alliance. Like this is not going to work out for me. So I'm heading out of this alliance. So
plus there's that hypothetical vote that she never gave to you.
What do you mean?
When you kept saying you voted for me.
Oh yeah, well, because she was going to, and the only reason,
and then she didn't because Cooper,
yeah. So it was like, yeah, you didn't vote for me, but you were fully about to, like,
fully believing that you were the target, and if it wasn't for Cooper roping you in, So Nick was even saying like confessionals in early Odell was like, people are pairing me with Bailey because we're friends in season 2, but no, pair me with Sarah.
Yeah, and I was so like annoyed watching that back because it's like I wasn't like, and also to be clear, like Nick and I are very, very close friends. Like we both live in the same city. I see him all the time. So this is like pure game talk. But yeah, I was so annoyed because I was like, okay, it's not that I like want to work with you so bad. It's just like if we're all getting paired up, what's the benefit of us not being on the same page? Like we should be on the same page. So I was annoyed about that. I really didn't know how much he wanted to work with Sarah, and like my opinion is that he might have like had a little too much tunnel vision for that, like at a certain point, and I think it kind of bit him later on. Because I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to go into the game being flexible and like work with whoever it made sense, and I felt like Nick went into it being like,
oh, I have my people,
and that's who I want to work with, and it doesn't always make sense. Like I love Sam. the Sam was actually somebody that I fully thought I was going to work with going into it. I was like, I love Sam. I would love to work with Sam. And yeah, we see how that went. Like, and it's just how it goes.
Cuts to how many confessions of you saying Sam needs to be punished for all the mistakes he's made.
Well, it just is like, oh my God, could you imagine like that text situation happening? Like, you think there's not a chance anybody could make it out of that. And so I think part of it was like, that's scary that like not only did he make it out of that, but he might be like the ringleader of this alliance. Like, that's crazy. So the whole game, it was more like I was very threatened by Sam. And maybe there's like an argument to be made that it would have been smarter to be like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Like, maybe I shouldn't have like drawn that line and been like, he's my enemy and I want him out of here. Like, maybe I could have tried to join up with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played in orgs. There's always been that one person that accidentally sends a message that's meant in private, but accidentally puts it in public. Thankfully, I've never been guilty of that. I've been... Wait, no, not to my knowledge. Well, I just jinxed myself now for the next time I play an org. I'm going to purposely send something in public now. But we have seen that happen a lot. Well, I have personally. I watch too many like online survivors. I need to get a life. And you're kind of right. That person never really gets punished. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. I tried to make this move, and now I'm just going to go with the safest option as long as it's not me.
Yeah, it was like so scary to see like not only did he make it out of that, but now he has like 2 or 3 people that are like this whole situation made them so much closer than probably any other alliance in the game right now. Like, that is like the tightest 3 in this whole game right now, probably. So that was very threatening to me.
Yeah, I think it was because, I mean, not too long ago, they were all willing to go to rocks for each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And when you have people willing to go to rocks, that's how you know it's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, Savu example.
Do just about anything to keep each other in the game. It was, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, AJ gave his idol to Lucy to save her. Who says they find another one, they're not going to protect each other? We can't always have a Cooper who's willing to flip on everyone whenever it happens.
So true.
Or in his world, to put a chokehold on them so they go with our plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are now threatening women.
Yeah.
I wanted to be known. I love Cooper. I asked we scheduled an appointment for this. I can't wait to meet him. I just also love talking shit about him like majority of the internet. So after that, oh yeah, I've also mentioned this a lot where it's like, let's say your plan did go to fruition where like Lucy and Jackson go home in that tribal. I always say this, it wouldn't have mattered because Jesse would have just gone in the 3-person tribal because Cooper would have done the same thing. But in that case, Jesse would have been the first juror.
Yeah. It's so weird how, like, with all the chaos that happened, like, when you think about those 2 weeks back to back, the same 3 people were always going home. It was always going to be, like, Jackson.
Lucy, Jackson, Jesse. It just depended on which order.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was also going to ask it. So it was very heavy that the Jesse vote was a big decision on why Sarah and Nick were like, now you're enemies.
Yeah.
Why was that never a case with Andrew? Because he also voted Jesse.
Well, so Andrew and I did talk a bit, and like I felt like his reason was like a bit more. I felt like I understood his reason a lot more. I mean, honestly, like I did put all 3 of them together in my head. Like when I made that flip, I mean, obviously like Andrew was not a part of like the merge flip. So in my head, they all were like a group of 3. But like as more like aspects of that vote came to light, like it did become clear to me that like Crouch was not as close with Sarah and Nick at that point as I thought he was. Like I didn't perceive him as still like with me and Cooper over Nick and Sarah at the time. Like after that whole thing went down, I was like, okay, well, the three of you had a plan together. The three of you like kept this secret from me and Cooper. Like clearly Andrew's with Sarah and Nick. You know, it's like the votes don't lie. Like clearly you're with the two of them. So yeah, as time went on, like I realized that like at the end of the day, like I kind of like ditched that alliance. Like it wasn't him that did that, like I kind of did that. So later on when he was willing to like realign himself with me and help me out again after like I had kind of screwed him over, I was kind of like, dang, like I don't know a lot of people who would be willing to like get over that and do that. I don't know. So I just felt very loyal to him. Like I felt like I owed him a lot of loyalty after that.
Yeah. Oh, what was it I mentioned? Oh, yeah. I think either Sarah or Nick or both of them might have told me this when they were on the podcast, that they were originally going to tell you the plan on Jesse, but something happened with like the car ride to the tribal.
It was probably Nick who said that because Sarah did not want to tell us at all. But Nick did want to tell us, and they did agree to do it. But I get like basically like we were all going to end up in the same car to go to tribal council, but then Cooper I think ended up in a different car. So then which like I gotta be honest, I still don't really understand that because like there was like a long walk from the car to tribal. Like it was at least 5 minutes. Like there was like, and we didn't even start tribal right away. Like I felt like there was ample opportunity to do that. I also felt like they could have told me and explained like we wanted to tell Cooper, but he's not in the car. So we need to like I feel like there were ways around this instead of just being like, oh, they're not in the same car, guess we can't do it. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a little silly.
Yeah, and I mean the whole plan to get at Cooper. I mean, Leia almost threw a riot.
Yeah.
Imagine if that did happen, if Jesse and Cooper left in that tribal.
Yeah, that would have been really tough for me. I do not know. Like, I'm sure I would have figured it out, but like off the top of my head, I don't really know like what I would have done there or like where I would have aligned myself.
Yeah, I guess maybe with the girls, since Jesse would have been gone.
Yeah, I don't even think I would have like kept up the facade of working with Sarah and Nick. Like, I don't think, even if it was the smart thing to do, I don't think I would have had it in me to do it like after that, just because it's like I would have been so pissed at the betrayal, but also like your stupid plan got my other like my closest ally, but like I would have been like so beyond angry. Like I don't think it would have even been believable if I like pretended to like keep up that alliance. I would have been so beyond angry.
There's a reason why you're not a theater major.
I'm not a great liar. Like and that's part of why like this whole like Bailey tells people everything. It's like I don't always mean to. Like I like really just like I really was trying to avoid lying as much as possible. Like I didn't want to get caught in a lie, so then I may have ended up sharing things that I shouldn't have like in order to avoid lying.
Well, there was one case where you did the right thing and kept your mouth shut when Nick was sent home.
Yes. And nobody said anything about that. Like, and I mentioned this on Keep Your Torch Lit too. I was like, people had a lot to say in the comments about me when I was spilling things, but like now I keep this like, and I had to do a lot of lying for the record. Nick was texting me like, I feel like something weird's going on. Like I had to do a lot of lying. So and we had that big meeting. Like I was very proud of myself and nobody mentioned it. So
yeah, Nick was like, when he was on this, like, the one time Bailey keeps her mouth shut is the one time I need her not to.
Yeah.
And originally you didn't want Nick. We saw that meeting of the 7. Let's get into the Bailey 7 of it all, where after the Jesse vote, you're expecting Andrew to go home. You're coming up with a last minute plan of a 7. Turns out Andrew doesn't go home. And now it's a Bailey's 8. And now it's a new Bailey 7.
Yeah.
I always say this. It's so impressive the fact that you created an alliance just to flip on it to another alliance.
Yeah.
Laptop's dying.
That's a good reminder.
How
Mine's fine. Okay.
how how does one person who not plugged in? Oh my god, it's not plugged in. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, how does one person who constantly does not know what they're doing half the time manage to pull an impressive game move like flipping on your own alliance?
I mean, like, I think part of it was like I had like a lot of connections, but I also was like connected to the right people in terms of like my connections had connections. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I just had the right yeah, I had the right people on both sides for me to be able to do it. But I also think like it does take a lot of work to like convince people, like a lot of survivors convincing people that your plan is also in their best interest. And I do think I was pretty good at that in the game. So I think that was part of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of people wanted to target you, but they couldn't target you because other people didn't want to do that. I mean, a great example would be the Emily votes, the other big drama thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's like Sam, Adam, and Megan, and Emily behind the scenes were gunning for you.
Mm-hmm.
But when Cooper wanted to flip, it was like, look, I'm going to flip, but we're not going to vote Bailey, we're going to vote Emily. Speaking of Emily, what was that like seeing all these confessionals of her being like, Bailey is just so patronizing, I cannot wait to vote her off?
I mean, I was doing like my objective with Emily for a lot of it was like, obviously I wanted to keep her on my side, and I also wanted to do what was best for my game. So like I understand, like I like fully understand why she would have felt that way, because I do feel like I was like making myself the decision maker for a lot of things. So I mean, yeah, I didn't know that she was like planning that for that long. I don't know if I would have like seen it coming at some point, like if it was like later down the line as she was saying, like I don't know. So I mean it was fine. That's the game. Like that would have made sense. I mean, that's what we were begging Bree to do. It's what we were begging AJ to do. Like Emily clearly was gonna have like the guts to do it. So like good on her.
Yeah, her plan definitely revolved around her fake idol. Which...
Yeah, that part's tough too. That would have, like, I am glad for her that she didn't get to a point where she thought she was about to pull off this big move and then the idol's fake. Like, that's not, that's tough. But I don't know, like maybe by then she could have worked something out that like the idol wasn't even necessary. Like, I think like more so the concept of being willing to do it is impressive. I think it's just like, I feel like we see this all the time with people that are like, here's my big plan, like my big long-term plan. And it's like, your plan only matters if like things go how you think they're going to go for like weeks and weeks. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I've never seen the point in making these like big plans for like 3 weeks down the road when we might be in like a totally different circumstance. So
yeah, I'm kind of like that as well, where it's like people are telling me like, oh, at Final 7 we can get this person off when we're in like Final 14. I'm like, okay, that's great and all, but how do we get to Final 7? It's pretty much like, if you plan too far in the future, what's that thing? It's like, you try to look so far you can't see what's right in front of you, or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly true.
Yeah. And when she was on, she was like, okay, thank God that idol is fake. No way I wanted to be that girl that went home with
Yeah.
the idol.
No, yeah, that is kind of like a happy accident.
It's kind of like, it's funny with that, with the actual Survivor season as well. Do you watch The Real Show?
I've seen some seasons here and there, but I'm not like a consistent watcher.
Okay. Well, there's this one girl on the current season who was given a fake idol that she believed was real, and she's obviously a target because everyone believes she has an idol,
Yeah.
but it's fake because somebody gave it to her. But she gave it to somebody, and that person got voted off recently.
Oh,
So pretty much, she believes her idol was sent home, but it was fake all
oh my
along.
God. That's so funny.
And now the problem is no one believes her that one, it was sent home, and two, it was
Oh,
fake.
that is tough. Oh, that is so bad.
Yeah, and the sad thing is the person that gave it to her, they were sent home in a medical evacuation. They couldn't even tell her.
Oh my
Oh yeah.
God.
Oh yeah, they like fell off a rock.
Oh my God. That's awful.
Yeah. So enough with the modern season. So so after the Emily boot, it's when the second biggest blow up happened with this group. Uh, what was happening?
Oh, I mean, for me, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. Like, or no, wait, sorry, I'm thinking of the AJ vote. Yeah, that next week. Well, I mean, I still left that week being like, this isn't exactly what I wanted, but like, this is also like my second best option. Like, I wanted Megan gone anyway. Like, I was good with this. So I was like, all in all, this wasn't the worst thing. But starting the week, I mean, I was like just doing the classic, like, I'm the target, like I have to just make it not me, like, I like, that's my job this week. So for me, I was like, this week will be a success if I don't go home, like, period. Like, if it's anybody else, like, that will have been a successful week for me. And I was surprised at how quickly, like, I thought that was going to be much more of an uphill battle than it was. It was like a small hill, if anything. Like, we got moving, and then very quickly we like descended into like, it could be anybody, like, chaos. So it wasn't the worst. Like, as crazy as it was and as stressful as it was, I was like, this is like the best thing that could have happened to me, probably. Like, I was gonna go home. So it was just, yeah, tough to find a group of people to get together. Like, people were starting to get like really mad at each other, like, and that's like how it stayed for the rest of the game. Was like, there were these like superficial lines that were drawn, but underneath it there was like a lot more complex, like, individual feelings and intentions going on. So all in all, like, as exhausted and stressed out as I was, part of me was like, this is all I could have asked for. So
Yeah, I mean, y'all like took a hiatus. You're like, we are not playing the game for like a week or so, where
yeah,
like you refused to.
that was before we started getting into like who was going home. That was like the immediate aftermath of the Emily vote. Because it was like, we'd been playing this game for like so
90
long.
something days.
Yeah, we were just tired. It was like that time of year where, like, yeah, school's ramping up, like, everything's kind of ramping up all at the same time, and it's like crunch time. So it was just like it was like a breaking point. I was like, do not speak to me for like a few days. Like, I'm not doing it right now. Yeah, it was tough.
No, I get that. I remember two org situations I was in where one, a close ally tried to send me home, and I took it kind of personally to where I was like, okay, I'm going offline. Do not talk to me. I'll still participate, but it's just like no one talked to me for like a while.
Yeah.
And another where somebody tried to do the whole classic call out thing, and it was a recorded series, and I no longer talk to that person.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like, I do get really frustrated when I see people in the comments being like, why are they taking it so personally? And it's
Because it is personal.
it is, like, it really is. It's all like, the whole game is centered around the bonds you make with people, even if you didn't know them beforehand. I mean, like, you can even see within Survivor Michigan how many people like started as strangers, formed an alliance like within the game, and they to this day are like very close friends. Like, it's like, yeah, like it's a very unique situation where you build like a very special bond where like your trust in somebody is being tested repeatedly. And so, yeah, when you see somebody is like worthy of your trust over and over again, it's like a very special relationship. And yeah, certainly going into an all-star season where we're friends within the game, we're friends without the game, like all of us in varying ways and degrees and with different people, everybody had friendships. So it was, yeah, it always bothered me when people are like, why is it personal? And I'm like, it is so personal. Like, it's all personal.
I think it's because we're all used to the show, and the show, it's strangers coming together.
Yeah.
This is like actual friends, especially all stars. College times, there's a chance you might know someone, but in an all star season, you know everyone,
Yeah.
or at least you know of everyone, which can be
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're friends with these people. It's hard not to take certain things personally when it's like, hey, not everyone can easily separate going to drinks one night and then betraying your trust the next.
Oh yeah, and even like throughout the season, I don't know if this has ever been mentioned, but like Sam, like Sam and I were obviously friends, but Sam was also very close friends with Abby. So even like during the game, like long before we ever like crossed paths in the game, like I would like come home and like Sam would be like hanging out like at my apartment and I'd be like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like it is just, yeah, really hard to like there really is no separation after a certain amount of time. It like, yeah.
Yeah. And to all those people that are saying, it's personal, stop taking it personal, go play a college survivor season with your friends.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
During a stress
Personal.
during a stressful period of your life where you're trying to figure out your future.
Oh yeah, definitely. All the emotions were running high for sure.
Yeah, we can say don't take it personal all you want. I'm pretty sure I've said it 100 times, but at the end of the day, it's going to be personal regardless.
Oh yeah, and what bothered me too is I felt like people would say it's personal when it's convenient, but then and I mean within the game, not commenters, but
Obviously.
people would say it was personal when it was convenient, and then they would say it's just a game when they wanted to like screw over one of their friends because it made sense for their game. And it's like, you can't pull out the it's just a game card when you're about to do something to like screw over a personal relationship you have. Like, it's all personal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was trying to think of a quote that relates to it. I can't remember it now.
Even like AJ and Sam, who weren't friends before the game, like when Sam had to vote out AJ, like you could tell, like he wasn't like taking it personally, but it was personal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like mad, like he understood, but there was a lot of emotions behind that for two people who were not close prior to the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can understand the move, but still be hurt by it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's how I felt after I got voted out. I was like, this obviously makes sense for you, and I am still mad about it. So.
I mean, you called it the tribal prior. I mean, let's get into the Adam tribal.
Yeah.
Because that was an impressive tribal. The fact that there was like these two separate plans going on, or like three separate plans.
Yeah.
Whereas like this was officially the end of Cooper and Leia's game relationship. I'm not going to say friendship.
Yeah.
They're
still very close for the record.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody was confused, they're very close.
Yeah. They're still good friends. They're just on opposite sides of the country.
Yes.
But in the game, they wanted to kill each other, especially with the whole meme of Cooper getting 7th, which he couldn't because he won immunity.
Yeah.
Congrats, Cooper, on winning your first immunity.
Yeah.
But then there was like a plan to take out Andrew, but then Cooper had an idol. So it's like, well, Cooper's obviously going to play for Andrew. He's never going to play for Bailey. So let's target Bailey. But Then there's the people who want to protect both Adam and you.
Yeah.
And then it all turned. But Cooper believes in this girl alliance that got leaked to him by one of his roommates. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. How you, Cooper found out about the girl alliance from one of his roommates because you drunkenly told him.
Yeah, I guess. Don't
That
remember.
was that was the
Oh, I guess
story.
I did that. Didn't know that.
Yeah, and then you have the commenters being like, "This is rigged for Cooper. His
Oh,
roommate's telling him
like that
information."
was like the most like I like can't even put into words how ridiculous that is, just because I think literally everybody on production, including like all of his housemates, everybody would have loved to see him lose. Like nobody wanted to see him win. So yeah, that was like silly.
How many times have we had Ian on a podcast or any of his roommates in like a shop being like, "So when you voting off Cooper?"
Oh yeah, and they meant it. They weren't kidding. Like they were joking around, but like they seriously were like, "Please get rid of him. It would be so funny."
Yeah, and they were even like trying to schedule meetings on like, "Hey, I think Cooper's getting voted off. Let's go watch this tribal."
Oh yeah, they kept like trying to fake him out. Like they would like show up as a group to tribal that like because they just wanted to like psych him out and make him think he was going home, and he wasn't. But yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. So back to the AJ tribal, where all it took was your vote and Bree's vote to send him home. Now, Adam was one of my draft picks, and I was sad to see him. So I was sad to see him go for that reason. Plus, he's fun.
Yeah.
But one thing I love is when a vote is like plurality, where it's like it's not like the typical majority. The fact that it only took you and Bree's vote, it has to be like. And what was happening throughout that tribal where it was like when you noticed that it only took me and Bree's vote to send him home out of a group of 7?
Like honestly, part of me like at that point in the game, I feel like we were just like moving so fast, like onto the next thing. I feel like I barely even like processed like what actually happened in that vote, because like I honestly only even really realized how big of a deal it was in like watching it and seeing the comments. And I was like, oh yeah, that is really crazy that like we accomplished that. I was just like, when you're in it, it's like I was just like moving on to the next week at that point, because we'd been doing it for so long that like I wasn't even thinking. But I mean, within the tribal too, I was like, oh my god, I was like, I felt like I was watching like Real Housewives, like one of those like really like dramatic, like I can't believe this is happening right now, like because obviously at that point I was like, I don't want Leia to go home, but at the end of the day, like me, Cooper, and Andrew are making it out of this, which I need. Like I'm making it out of this. Like whatever happens, like is gonna be pretty good for me no matter what. And so I was just like, wow, I can't believe Sam has to do this. Like, what are the odds? Like, what are the odds that he would have to do that? Sorry, my cat is like trying to tear up my couch.
Oh no worries, my dog was trying to jump up earlier.
Yeah, I could not believe it. It was like you could not script it. It was unbelievable. So yeah, that was like what was going through my head, was like I just like couldn't believe that was happening. And I was so annoyed that Leia didn't vote for AJ. Like to this day, I thought it was annoying. Like ultimately, I feel like I moved on quickly just because I was just like, it was your funeral, like whatever. Like it went the way I wanted it to. Like there's no point in dwelling on it. Like I'm moving on. So
yeah, I mean, too bad AJ made the list.
I know.
Proving that with the right amount of time, you can get on the list.
Exactly.
Yes, there were people that were permanently on it from the beginning, but it was proven you can get on it.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like I don't think I was initially on the list like when the season started. I don't think I was like on the list. Cuz Leia and I would say Leia and I were friends, but we were not as close as like we became much closer by the end of it. Like that was another relationship that I did not anticipate to like grow so much.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the game, it was like maybe 3 names. I wanna say it was like Cooper, Sam, and Lucy. They were like, "Okay, definitely
Yeah.
gonna write down these names," and then over time, it was like, "Emily's now on the list, and now you are on the list," and then
Yeah.
eventually AJ is on the list. Where it got to a point where pretty much in the final 7, everybody was on the list except for Andrew. So that's like the only option in Leia's mind.
Yeah.
This tribal also started something that I coined throughout the after show. I stayed up till 5 in the morning. Where I coined the Bailey curse because it was the 4th time somebody wrote down your name and then went home in that tribal.
Oh yeah, whatever confessional I said this in didn't make it in, but I said that after the will vote. I was like, I noticed that. I was like, oh, everybody who like throws out my name, because I think at one point, I don't even know if this was in the show either, but at one point Will was like maybe Bailey, like, and maybe it was, it might have been in the show, but like
Maybe.
like yeah, every time somebody said my name, they went home, and I was like, this is the best.
Yeah, and I was like, every time somebody writes down your name, that happens to be the tribal they go home in, even when they're not supposed to write down your name.
Yeah.
But then the curse ends. We
Yeah.
get to final 6. Everyone's thinking it's some sort of plan. Cooper's trying to go after Bree of all people for valid reasons, believing she's a guaranteed spot in the final 3. You're finally enacting your revenge plot on Sam. And then you have the other 3 that are trying to figure out the Cooper Idol situation. Now, I don't know if this is just because Cooper is how do I say this without sounding horrible? Kind of a game bot and doesn't believe in things that he doesn't believe in.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was so obvious that they would go after you, being like, well, it's obvious Cooper's either going to play the idol for Andrew or himself. So the obvious target would be for them to vote Bailey. I guess he just believed, and maybe you believed this as well, that Leia and Brie wouldn't vote for you because of the whole Girl Alliance thing.
Yeah, that is what I thought, and I think that is what Cooper thought as well.
Yeah. Sadly,
that was his whole motive for wanting to like vote for Brie and like all of that stuff was like his fears about the Girl Alliance. So like I think he took that very seriously.
Yeah, and I think that was also ironically the fear with the girls. They were like afraid that you were closer to Andrew than they were to you.
Yeah.
No. So now that you're here, let's get it out of the way. Who would you have gone to the end with, girls or Andrew?
It would have been Cooper and Andrew. I would have gone with them.
So they made the right call.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you still can't be pissed.
They definitely did, but it's like it's hard because I think the only thing that would have like prevented this situation is if I had like drawn a line in the sand earlier. But at the same time, I do feel like my connection to Leia and Brie was what helped us stay, like the 3 of us in the game for as long as we did. Like I do think that was a big contributing factor to it, like in the Megan vote and the AJ vote. Like I just don't really see how it would have like gone another way. Yeah, I think it took me a while to like fully make that decision too, like which route I would have taken. But I think at that point, yeah, I think I would have done well against Cooper and Andrew just because people did want a girl to win. So it would have helped me a lot to be the only girl sitting at Final Tribal, I think. Especially because I did feel like I built up like a good resume, like enough of a resume to where it wouldn't have just been about that. I also think Cooper had pissed off a lot of people at that point.
Really? So Cooper James? Sweet little him?
So even if he did play the best game, I was kind of like, people are so mad at him right now. Like that might also like work in my favor. And but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that week it was just so clear to me that the biggest thing standing in my way of Final Tribal was Sam. Like easy. Like it was easily Sam. So yeah, that was kind of what I zoned in on. and what I thought would have been the best thing for me moving forward. I've been asked a lot, like, by people that were like on production and on All Stars, like, if I thought I should have like voted for Brie. And I don't know. I think at the time I wouldn't have. I don't know. I felt like it was hard.
In Final Six or to win?
What?
Vote for Brie in Final Six
Final
or to
Six,
win?
to
Oh,
vote
okay.
her.
No, I don't see how that makes sense for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just so obvious that like best option was Sam, next best option was like all the way down here. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just like, and I was like, I don't know, like Cooper and Andrew shouldn't even want Sam here anyway. You know, it wasn't like there was any good reason for them to want to keep him around. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure there is another route I could have taken that would have taken me to the end, but I think this is probably what I would have done the vast majority of the time if we like did it over and over again.
Yeah, I think you explained it in the episode. If Sam goes, you're in the middle of the final five. You get to make the deciding call.
Yeah.
So I really don't see how it makes sense for you to vote off Brie. And then
and it was also a little bit of an emotional thing because like I don't think it really came off this way, but like throughout the whole game, like I didn't feel like I turned on anybody that I didn't like. There was nobody that I went against that I didn't feel like they went after me first. Like every time I made a move against somebody, I felt that they had made a move against me first, basically. And I was trying because it was hard for me. Like I didn't want to like betray anybody that had like gone out on a limb for me or that like had my trust. So yeah, I was like, Leia and Brie have been vouching for me. Like I don't want to vote either of them out, like for emotional reasons.
No, I'm actually looking back on everyone that you voted for. They all betrayed you in some way.
Yeah, at least like, and I understand.
Except for maybe Kevin, but that's Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin's the one exception.
And that was hard for me. There was a lot of confessionals of me being like, I really am sad that I have to do this. So yeah, like, and of course there's arguments to be made of like who turned against who first, but like it was definitely like my perception at the time of like these people wronged me first. So I don't feel bad.
I feel like the main one is probably either Sarah or Megan, since they have like some of the biggest fan bases, especially Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sarah just gained traction, and a lot of people, myself included, were annoyed that she got sent home, but that's more because we did not need an hour and a half episode, Ian, for Sarah to go home. Yes, we love more Sarah, but still, you could have cut 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think that episode had a lot of setup for
something to happen.
Some stuff that, because it's like when you think about like the Emily B week and the Megan week, like there was so much that went into that. So if I'm remembering correctly, I think there was a lot of like buildup that wasn't immediately clear in the episode. So I know people were like getting kind of annoyed about that.
Yeah, I think the only thing I was really annoyed at is when he did that classic thing where he zooms in on somebody that has an idol, shows flashbacks of them saying certain things, and then they just don't play the idol. Like, yeah. I just kind of thought that was unnecessary because it didn't even seem like at all Andrew would play the idol.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense for the Emily vote since it was actually close.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm not the Survivor editor. I will not take on that job.
Yeah.
I'll edit the tribal councils. That's easier. So we got to your vote off. How did you feel when you saw that last parchment have your name?
I mean, as soon as I saw the first one, I kind of knew that I was going home. So it was just like I felt like deflated. It was just like it just like knocks all the wind out of you a little bit. It was really sad. I was definitely emotional, especially because I wasn't like really sure. Like walking into the jury is weird. Like because it's like there's a lot of people in there that like maybe like yeah you're why they got voted out and now you're like sitting in the same place together. Like it's very weird. I was like, I don't really know if the jury's about to like welcome me with open arms. Like I didn't know what the vibe was, like if it was like a supportive atmosphere. And everybody was like obviously like very nice, like, and felt, you know, like it's hard getting voted out, and everybody gets that regardless of like what your personal relationship was with somebody, and how they got voted out. But my immediate reaction was like, I wouldn't have done anything differently. Like that was my immediate reaction, was like, there's not anything I would have done differently. And I like, as far as like the big stuff and like the path I took to the end, like I stand by that still. So, and I think that was like, I was like, well, I accomplished so much. Like I made it so much farther than I did the first time. I won an individual immunity. I made it to merge. Like I pulled off a blind side. Like there were so many like big milestones that I was like, you know, like the only thing left would have been like getting to final tribal and winning. And that's so hard. So I can't be too upset. So yeah, I was happy with how I did.
I mean, you went from 6th boot to 6th place.
I know, especially like, yeah, in a bigger season too. I remember that challenge, like the final 6 challenge, like we were all standing there and I was like, is this it? Like this is everybody? Like, oh my God. That was when it really hit me. I was like, I can't believe that this is all that's left.
Yeah, I still remember there was when you got voted off, there was like when Brady was like talking, you can kind of see in the background just you, I'm assuming, hugging Noah and crying on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely went through it with me. So, yeah.
What was it like having your significant other like kind of be a part of this journey, but also knowing it's like you have information that you can't tell me? Although I doubt anyone would go to Noah and be like, hey, let me film a confessional about me shit talking your girlfriend.
I don't think anybody did that. I don't think so. But yeah, it was definitely hard because it's like you just kind of like feel stupid all of the time. Cause it's like obviously like that's like my boyfriend. I want to like vent about this and talk about what I'm worried about, and like, oh, I don't know if I should do this or this. And knowing that like the person you're talking to like has the answer and they can't tell you is like so weird, and like it does just make you feel stupid a little bit. Yeah, like the last thing I wanted would like, oh my God, like just imagining myself being like I like it's gonna be such an easy vote tonight. Like, and then it's like not at all, and like I'm getting voted off. Like that would be humiliating. Like, oh my God. So that was really hard, and like just the hours I was putting into it and like how stressed out and exhausted I was, like obviously like that spills over like into your relationships, like whether it's Survivor or something else. So it was really hard. But yeah, he's the best and he was really there for me. And so I'm glad ultimately that we got to do it together, because Survivor Michigan was like such a special time for me, and this whole season was like something I will like treasure forever. And the fact that like he got to like be there and see it and be involved with it is really cool.
Matt, what would it have been like if you two were playing with each other? Like if you were Jackson and Megan, like playing together in a relationship.
During quarantine, so like that prior to All Stars, like we had started doing like drunk Survivor games, so it would be
like, oh yeah, people have been saying you were great at those.
I won the first one. I was really proud of myself, and so we were doing those. It was like one night and it was like drinking games. It was so fun. And then when quarantine happened, so like after All Stars, after season 6, we started doing them over Zoom, and they were huge. It would be like 30 something people. It was, I mean, maybe that's not huge. I don't play like a lot of like org games, so maybe it's not, but it felt huge to me. Like I had not done any games with that many people. And yeah, I had made it to final tribal like 3 times, twice with Noah. And we weren't even working together, like really. Like we weren't working together in any of them. We both just ended up there. And now people are kind of like, we have to vote at least one of them out, like because they were so annoyed that like we did that so many times. um so yeah, so we've tried it. We kind of stay out of each other's way, I gotta be honest. Like we don't really work together unless it like we get put in an alliance together, if that makes sense. And but yeah, I mean, we're both very, very competitive, and I am a sore loser. So, so it's not totally chill. Like it can be tough, but like whatever, you get over it.
Funny thing, my last relationship and only one, we actually met playing a Survivor org.
It's those survivor goggles. It like, it's like you're like doing this cool thing together, and you have to like build trust. Like it happens. There's been a lot of survivor relationships.
Yeah. He always says I hated him when we played. I didn't hate him, I just thought he shouldn't have won.
Oh gosh.
And I still think that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, look where that relationship is now. Dead.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the only Survivor Michigan couple to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in the new generation, like I do believe that there are some couples that have formed. So
Ooh,
maybe
we
the only
finally
person
get
relationship, but yeah.
will we get our first Survivor showmance that happens throughout a season? I guess we'll just have to find out throughout the new generation.
I know you might. And that's like a genuinely like you might. Like I'm actually not sure. Like
We hope for their future.
yes.
Now, before we finish off, let's talk about Final Tribal.
Yeah.
The quotes just keep coming from you. You just single-handedly lost my vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you probably have gone into detail, but do you want to just quickly explain what was it that Leah said that was like, or what was it about like, okay, Leah, that's it. I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for Sam or Bree.
So going into it, I was very torn, like mainly between Sam and Leia. Like I do think I think Bree had like an outside chance from me, especially because I was not at that tribal council where Cooper like I didn't really know about all of that like in the
The
same
Final Four
way that
situation.
like the people that were there experienced it. So, but it was mainly between Sam and Leia for me. And like, it was tough because Sam like played the more traditional game, so to speak. Like, I felt like he had a strong social game. He did make some big moves. Like, it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was like the resume felt very clear. Like, it spoke for itself. Whereas Leia's was like so unconventional that the argument was there, but there was a lot of debate of like, does it matter whether or not she meant to like use this as a strategy? So like some people were like, if she's gonna sit there and say like I meant to do this the whole time, like then people were gonna vote for her. But if she like if it was kind of like an accident, like she had this list and it just like worked out for her, like some people were like, I don't think that should count. And I was kind of like, I don't know if it should matter, like whether or not it was intentional. So I was like really torn. Even like during my questions, after my questions, like I like sitting in that seat, I was torn. And so then when like Andrew basically kind of like gives her this whole like leg up, and then she unprompted uses that like opportunity to like insult me. Not that she was meaning to insult me, she was not trying to, but what she was saying was insulting to me. That she didn't need me during that vote. Like it just felt, whether or not that was true, like I felt like it was just so like you need my vote. Like, you need our votes. Like, how dare you sit up there and like think you can like belittle me and my contribution to your game and like get my vote. And I also felt like you needed me more than you might think you did, and if you can't see that, then like your perception of the game is not good enough, or like not where I think it should be for a winner. Like, if you can't see like what I like contributed to you getting there, then like, yeah, like that like loses you some points for me.
Yeah, especially when one of the biggest moves in the game that pretty much saved your game, and you're telling that person, oh, they didn't have to do that. It wasn't like it was required for me to be safe.
Yeah.
I think it kind of was. I think it is fair to say you and Brie did kind of save her as well as Sam.
Yeah.
But just like the sheer just immediately being like, you just single-handedly lost my vote.
Yeah, it was just like, I can't believe, like, it's just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna vote for you now. Like, I'm in between two people. Like, this was just like a flop. Like, I'm gonna vote for the other person. So it just kind of sealed it for me. But also,
Also funny.
I love Leia, to be clear. Like, I love Leia, and I wanted to vote for her was also the hard part. Like, I wanted to vote for her, but yeah, at the end of the day, I was like, I can't, like, I couldn't get myself there, and like her answers weren't like helping me get there.
Yeah, I like how Andrew's entire jury segment was to help people vote for Leia, and it did the opposite.
Yeah, and I feel like that just kind of like sums it up right there. And but also, like, I want to be really clear, like, it wasn't just like, like she hurt my feelings, so I'm not going to vote for her. Like, I felt like I was really between two people that would have deserved it. Like, I would not ever have like I was not on the jury in my last season. Like, this was my one chance. It was like our Super Bowl. Like, so I was like, I'm not going to throw away my vote like that. Like, I want to vote for the winner. Like, I want to vote for who I think should win. So like, I think there's definitely a world in which, like, yeah, if I thought Leia played the better game and I thought she was doing really well in Final Tribal, she might not have lost my vote in that moment. But that wasn't really the situation we were in. It was like a 50-50 toss up, and like that whole moment pushed Sam like over the edge for me. So, but I felt like I was voting for the person who deserved it.
Yeah, and I think either way we would have gotten a good winner. As much as me personally was super annoyed by Leia's game for pretty much all but the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
You can still admit it was still good. Would I have referred to other people? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think when I was on the after show, I think I said, I think either you or Sam are winning. And I was correct on one of them. I was keeping it in the season 2 family. Season 2 is my favorite season.
Gotta love season 2.
Yeah, I actually just ranked every College Survivor I watched when I was at work because I was bored.
Yeah.
And it kind of turns out season 2 of Michigan is my all-time favorite season.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it was a great season. I feel like it has like a little bit of everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have drama, you have fun people. Majority of my favorite players come from season 2.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like it's like very like fantastic gameplay. Like, I think especially
Only
like
female winner.
The way that like Sam and Sarah and Jack all kind of imploded too, I feel like it's just very exciting to watch. Like, it's just very interesting the way that all goes down. So yeah, it was great season.
And then you were like, why couldn't this happen during the swap?
I know. Ugh.
And then only Michigan female winner comes from that season, so
True, that too. Although I would have voted for Nick personally. No hate to Mallory, but
I was going to ask if you were on the jury, you wouldn't have voted for Lucy?
No, I didn't think she was doing anything. Like, I thought she was kind of like clueless. Like, and I'm saying that as somebody like I got voted out early, and like the Survivor Michigan community wasn't like what it became at that point. Like there wasn't this like big like community around it. So I wasn't even really hearing a lot about the season. So having not like I don't know, having gone out early and what I did see of Lucy was like she wasn't like doing a whole lot. Like that was my perception of her. But I was like, I felt like it was very obvious, like Nick like had to have a lot of luck on his side for sure, no question about it, but that's Survivor. But he also put in the legwork himself without a doubt. So yeah, I absolutely would have voted for him.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why I like season 2. To this day, it's still being talked about who should have won, Nick or Mallory.
Yeah. No, me and Kevin both like, because also at that point, like for future seasons, we invited like non-jurors to Final Tribal as well. But me and Nick were not, or me and Kevin, sorry, me and Kevin were not at like that Final Tribal. Like we didn't see it. So we fully expected to hear that Nick won. We were shocked when he didn't.
Yeah, but all final 3 cerulean.
I know, go cerulean.
But now we have an Ohana winner.
Yeah, it's true.
We need to have a third season to figure out which tribe is better now. We need a third winner.
Oh yeah, so true.
Here, season 2 redo, but you can't have Sam or Mallory.
You also had 2 Ohana on the Final Tribal for All Stars, so that probably doesn't speak for itself.
But we did have 3 cerulean in the first season. It's like really, there's arguments for both.
Yeah.
We'll redo season 2. We'll keep out Sam and Mallory because they both already won, and Mallory still doesn't know what Survivor is. And then we'll see.
I'd love a rematch. I'd love a redo.
But if you guys do want more Survivor Michigan, if you tune in either I want to say it's this Saturday. Yeah, this Saturday, there is a Survivor Michigan versus Survivor OSU org happening where players in production of Survivor Michigan and Survivor Time and Change will be competing against each other to finally figure out who is the better school. As a non-American, I do not understand this rivalry.
It is the great American rivalry. Yeah, definitely watch. It'll be great. I'm not playing, but go blue. We're rooting for Michigan all the way. And I did see who's playing, and I think Michigan has a very stacked cast list. So I'm expecting things.
I mean, we got some of your favorites. We got our winner, Sam. Cooper's making a return, obviously. Yeah. We got our fan favorite, Aaron, who you love to give a shout out at the finals. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people that are like, yay, Aaron's being mentioned at the finals.
Oh, what's funny, too, is like I fully would have taken that back. 100%. Like Sam, like the way that it was explained to me, that whole situation by Sam, he, despite like the whole like perception of him throughout the show, Sam is actually like very much a peacekeeper, like so nice, doesn't want to badmouth anybody. So like the way I had heard this whole thing between the two of them go down was actually not quite what actually happened. And when I watched the footage of that episode, I was like, oh my God, like that's not what I thought happened at all. I was like fully on Sam's side about that. So yeah, if I had only known, things also might have gone differently for me and Sam that way. But I'll be excited to see the two of them compete again on Saturday. So
yeah, I don't want to accidentally say anything just in case there's people watching. I don't want to like ruin people's strategies somehow. It's like, of course they're watching this. You're on it. Where I say like, oh, I've seen some of these people play in orgs before and how they did. I'll just keep that to myself. Oh yeah, and also the funny thing with that. So I don't know if you saw, I do these Michigan Song Association videos where I give each the player kind of like a song, sort of like how Ian gave people a background song for their confessionals. I just gave people a song that's like describes their game or their personality. And the one I gave Sam was I'm the villain in my own story.
Oh, that's like so true because like, oh my God, he's so different from that in person. Like he is just like so kind-hearted and very like mellow and doesn't like to rock the boat. Yeah, very different.
Yeah, I had him on a few days ago, and it was just like so fun. It was like
Yeah.
Sam's like one of my favorite Survivor players, season 2. I love KYTL.
Yep.
KT, what? Wait, is it
No, you got it. You got
KYTL? Okay, KYTL. For God's sake, Lucy.
it.
So it was like so much fun to talk to him. Jack's also one of my favorites. Sarah, pretty much
Yeah.
season 2.
Of course.
Your one was actually Type of Girl by Blackpink, if you're curious.
Oh, okay. I'll have to give it a listen. I'm not familiar with the song, but good to know.
Yeah,
I love
K-pop
seeing
group.
those. I saw some people do it in the Discord before, and I love seeing those. I thought they were so funny.
You should hear your season 2 one I gave you. Pretty much the line is, "It's hard out here for a bitch. It's
It
hard."
was.
But I mean, you were in a car accident in season 2.
Yeah, it was a rough go. But you know, I made up for it and then some in All Stars, which is all I can ask for. So
Yeah. So Bailey, we're going to wrap this up. Do you have any final words about your Survivor Michigan experience or just life in general?
I loved everything about doing Survivor Michigan. It was the best time. Doing All Stars was amazing. I definitely rewatch it now that it's over. I definitely think I definitely think people will have some different opinions and notice some things that they didn't see the first time around. Watching it as somebody who knew what was going to happen, like I promise it's going to be even better if you watch it again. And yeah, like check out all the prior seasons if you haven't. Check out all the college survivors if you haven't at other campuses. And if you love Survivor, but your school doesn't have one, start one yourself because you might make some of the best friends you're ever going to have. So,
Yeah, you might even meet people from a different country.
exactly.
Where Survivor doesn't exist.
Yeah, get over to the States. There's all kinds of, oh my God, so many. You know this already. So many weekend games, so many, all kinds of stuff.
I would, but y'all are very expensive. I was over here for a holiday last summer, and it was very fun.
Oh, very nice. Where'd you go?
I stayed with my ex in New Jersey.
Okay, but close to New York. Did you get into the
Yeah. Yeah, got to the city, had a New Yorker yell at me,
you know,
spent
then
way
you
too
had the full experience.
yeah, spent way too much money, and
That's
was
also
surprised
part of
that there
the
was
experience.
and was surprised of the amount of people. We're a tiny country over here.
Oh yeah, it is big, but
Yeah.
lots of big Survivor people in New York. I feel like New York is like a Survivor hub.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of Survivor Michigan people over there. I feel like it's either you're in New York, Chicago, or somewhere in the East Coast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pretty much.
And then you had like a couple scattered, like somewhere in Georgia, somewhere in Florida, and somewhere still in Michigan.
Definitely. Yeah.
So thanks, Bailey, for coming on. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Tune in next time, where I will be talking to everybody's favorite game bot and host, Cooper. And who knows what other jurors I can grab my hands on. That sounded bad.
Well, thanks for having me, Lee. It was fun to be here.
Okay, thanks as well. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.